my machine too. I didn't power it on because I don't want to use the Linux machine before, but I will use both Linux machine and our Windows machine, so that in case you want to use your Windows to communicate or to push your code to your GitHub, you can do that through your Windows machines, and also to use your Kali machine to push your code or to push your files to your GitHub. You can also use Linux, but preferably let's use Linux. Let's use our Kali machine. Why? Because most of the code or the script, let me call them script, most of the script we'll be writing them through the Kali. So that is why I will want us to use Kali. But nevertheless, I'll still put us through how to work with it on our Windows. It is very simple, very simple. It's not something that is hard. So what I will do is this. As the Kali is booting, let's quickly take ourselves through this quick information. I will surely share the slide on the platform tomorrow for those that are not able to join now. I understand our situation in this country, so majority might not have the time to join, but since my intention was to let everyone have access, so I won't put restriction by saying if you didn't attend the session, you won't have access to the video. I've changed my mind. I want everyone to be carried along. So, and for those of us that are attending, I want you guys to have a double benefit, in the sense that you do at your own end, you do the way you do, just do as I do. So your own should be totally different from those that will just be watching the videos later in the day. So I think you could have access to ask questions and be fine. So without wasting much of our time, you are welcome to Git and GitHub. So this Git and GitHub, sometimes people do mistaking them that they are the same. No, they are never the same, but they are just like twins. So we can't say if you have twin sisters or twin brothers, then we just assume that they are the same. No, they are never the same. In this in my own language, we have Tai Kehinde. That's in Yoruba. We have Tai and Kehinde. I don't know how they normally classify them in other language, but the first one is totally different from the second one, especially if they are of the same sex or opposite sex. So they're never the same. The same thing happens to this Git and GitHub. We'll quickly take and see what we mean by these two. Now, the first question is, what is Git? What is Git? From what we have on the slide, I've made sure that I've summarized the important keywords that we need to know. Now, if you are asked to differentiate between Git and GitHub, all you need to do is to explain what they both do. They do different things, but they work hand to hand. So now, from what we have on the screen, we have Git is a version control system. You can stop there. But anybody that you want to tell that Git is a version control system, the person must have known or must be familiar with Git already. But you want to explain what is Git to someone that is totally a novice, then you need to move further and tell the person more about Git. Actually, the simplest meaning of Git is a version control system. And what does that mean? It's a software. Now you cannot start your explanation like that. It's a software that manages different versions of files. You can stop there. And this is even the best explanation you can give so far. I will explain it now. It's a version control system. Control system is the key point there. Control system is the key point there, and it controls files, different versions of files. For example, we have, like me, I'm working, you don't know where I am, I'm working from my home, and you also that you are listening to me, you are working from your home or from your irrespective of your locations. So if I want to get your file, if I want to work with your file, as you are working on a particular file, for example, it might even be let me use a CV for example. Actually, we are not working with CV here, but let me just make use of CV. If I'm working with a CV, let's assume you gave me a CV to work with, and you want to also work with that CV. We can use Git to do that easily. Now, how can we achieve that? You have to register with your GitHub. That's a storage location, and we use Git. If I type my name is Aweda and you type your name, no, you want to change that Aweda to no, that Aweda should carry R. You want to customize it now. Aweda should carry R. That's Awedar. Immediately, or let me say at the same time, you can use Git to do that particular aspect. In the other way around, or let me say in our normal way we knew, is we can type it with our Microsoft Word. Then after once I'm done with that typing, I can send the file to you. Then you now see the error, you now correct it. No, Git will make me to be typing, and at the same time you also be typing on that same file. That is the work of Git, and that is what the first statement, that is what it means. It says it's a version control system. It controls system and is a software that manages different versions of files. So with that, you should be able to convince anyone that you want to tell about, because if you get to some stages where you want to maybe hot seat, where you will be interviewed, they will want to know whether you know the difference between Git and at the same time GitHub. All you just need to do is to tell them some of these things you have on the screen. So the first point is, another thing is, it keep careful track of changes in your files. For example, your CV, maybe my name, let me use my name, Aweda Aziz Adebayo. Maybe after maybe I want to edit it, I'll just see, I don't want to use Aweda Aziz Adebayo again. I will use Aziz Adebayo Aweda. Now, if I save it, the beautiful part of this Git is that it will never remove the old one. It will only effect the change, and I can also refer back to the old one. I can go back to the old one, then whereas I'll still have the new one. That is the first point. Collaborate with others on your project more easily. Like the first example I've given, like what's your CV, but this time around I won't use CV, because CV is, we are not dealing with CV. For instance, you are working on a particular project. Sorry, let me say we are working on a particular project. We are 3 in numbers, or 4 in numbers, or even 20 in numbers. Maybe we are working with a particular applications, and we want to work together, and our location did not guarantee that we should come together. Maybe I'm in Lagos, another person is in Abuja, another person is even outside the country. I want to collaborate and work on this same project. No, so instead of me to do my own part, write my own code, then send it, they will now read code from morning to night. No, with Git, we can all collaborate, log in to that particular Git. We have a project. I will still show us how we can collaborate if possible. So 20 numbers, we can all log in and connect ourselves to that project. If I'm working with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Another person can still instantly and immediately and at the same time be working with JavaScript, PHP at the same time. That is the work of Git and GitHub. So that is the second line. It collaborate with others on your project more easily. And this has to do with same geographical region, your distance is too far away from one another. So that is the explanation of that second part. The third part, test changes without losing the original versions, like I have said before when I was using this CV issues. So with Git, it will just continue to save your like I said, they are just like twin. They work together, but they are totally different. A GitHub, what I mean by hub? Where people can come together, collaborate. That is the meaning of hub. So now bring in the meaning of Git and add the meaning of hub together with it. So a version control is a software that is everybody can come. That is the meaning of that hub. Now everybody can come. I mean everybody, or you say anybody. Everybody or anybody can come and collaborate. So that is through a web and also has applications for now. The first point about GitHub is that it provides or is a remote, or it provides, either you say it provides or itself is a remote location for storing your Git workspace. For instance, you are a Pythonista, a web developer, or C# or C++, coder, Java, whatever, even game developer. You can store your code with Git into a GitHub. That is, which is the web-based services. So after you have written a lot of code, and it's advisable for every developers to have a GitHub account. That's why I'm trying to, in fact, it's a must for us to open a GitHub account if we don't have one before, and to start pushing some of our files or code into it, because it is where most, in fact, it is where all organizations will want to go to and see your project. This time around, as a coder or as a developer, as a programmer, they won't ask you most of your work you have done. All what they will ask from you is give us your social media account, and this time around they're not asking for Facebook account, they're not asking for Twitter account, they're not asking for Instagram account. They rather ask for your LinkedIn account and GitHub account. Those two accounts are very, very important. If you are a data analyst, they will ask for your Zindi, your either Medium or others. But the two major accounts they will ask for is your GitHub account. That's your GitHub, yes, your GitHub account, and also your LinkedIn account, which is very, very important. So those are those two. The last one, it is useful if you lose or break your computer. For instance, like I've said, something can happen. You never can tell. You know, all these systems, they are crazy sometimes. You can just wake up one day and you see that your system has sparked off. So don't be afraid if and only if you are the type that normally push your code to GitHub. Then you can quickly get another system and log into your account, that's your GitHub account, and have access to all your code without start writing all over and all over again. So that is the essence of Git and GitHub. So we now see how we can go through the installations and the installations of Git, and how to register GitHub. So I will see, let me see. Okay, let's quickly get through this overview. How to use Git. The first thing we are going to do is to create a project. And where do we create that project? We create that project on GitHub. And before we can get a GitHub, we must open a GitHub account. Now we can now create a project on that account. It's like you want to post on a Facebook. Before you can post on a Facebook, before you can post on Instagram, before you can post on X, that's the Twitter, you must first of all open an account with them, and before you can start posting or sharing whatever you want to do. So the same thing happens to the first one here. We need to create a GitHub account, and we are creating that tonight by God's grace. Then we clone the project. You can clone a project onto your computer. For instance, from my own end there, I've written some scripts. Maybe I've written a script that can do some malicious stuff. Then you want to have a copy of it. Then we call it cloning. You clone that project. You can do that through your GitHub account. So I'll just give you the link to my own. Then you just clone. You can clone through terminal, that is through Kali, or you can go to my page on GitHub straight and clone it or download it. It's still the same thing. Then you can change some files with Git. We can change some files on our GitHub without going to the GitHub page. We use our Git. Don't forget, Git is just a version control that control the GitHub. So we use our Git command to control whatever we have pushed to the GitHub page. Then we commit changes. That commit changes means you want to effect whatever changes we have made. So if you say git commit, I've started using those words now. If you say git commit, that is whatever changes and put particular message to it, it will quickly reflect on that your GitHub page. Then we can now push these changes to GitHub. That is the overview of this. So